Hey guys, today this video is going to be about Margaret Hamilton. I'm going to do a few videos about people who've influenced the world of computer science quite a lot. So this is going to be the first out of probably a 4 or 5 part series just about people who've influenced the world of computer science and who've made it a place that is completely different to what it would have been without them in the industry. So as I said, it's going to be about Margaret Hamilton. So she was a computer scientist, a systems engineer, and she also owned a business. She was director of the software engineering division of the MIT Instrumentation Laboratory, which developed onboard flight software for the Apollo space program. So of course, with the famous picture of Margaret Hamilton with that large pile of code that she wrote for the Apollo space program, that's pretty much what most people know about if they don't do computer science already. And she also founded her own company, and she was the CEO of Hamilton Technologies. So she was the lead software engineer at the Apollo projects, and she wrote it all pretty much by herself, and that was used to take humanity to the moon, and obviously that happened in 1969. So she was born in Indiana, and she was a computer scientist who was one of the first computer software programmers. She created the term software engineer to describe her work. So as you can tell, at this time, software engineering, software programming was a very, very niche area. It was just starting to take off with the developments of super fast computers, when transistors were shrinking in size, when all that crazy stuff was starting to happen. And she was at the forefront of this, and she came into computer science and that realm of technology just as the industry was starting to peak, like just skyrocket into what we see with computers today. So what she's done is a very, very huge accomplishment, and yes, it's very fascinating to see what has been done so far. So she initially studied math and philosophy at Elmham College. She graduated in 1958 and taught high school math for a short time. She then planned to study abstract maths at Brandeis Uni. She accepted a job at the world-renowned Massachusetts Institute of Technology, known as MIT, and she began programming software to predict the weather, and she did postgraduate meteorology. So obviously with programming to try and predict the weather is going to require huge complex programs. At the time they didn't have it obviously as complex as it was now, but working in that industry was still a huge shock to most people, because most people at that time weren't really familiar with computers and that kind of thing. They knew what a computer was, but you wouldn't see in every house like a laptop, a computer that people would be using as common as it is nowadays. Just to give you an idea of how long ago this whole programming endeavor was, the first programming languages she said she programmed in, and I quote, were hexadecimal and binary. And she learned how to build software in hexadecimal and how to take advantage of the LGP30 computer hardware to most benefit the software's performance. So at that time it was very rudimentary, and then afterwards, of course, when she built a level up with programming languages, I doubt she programs now. I don't know, she might still for fun, but still, yeah, back then it must have been a crazy time programming all of that. And all this stuff was by hand, all this stuff was human intellect. You didn't have much automation, if any, at all in this day and age with the moon landing and stuff. Right now you've got so much automation in terms of the software and all that kind of stuff, but back then all of it was done completely by hand. I'd say 95% minimum human driven work and code. You didn't have any fancy compilers which correct code for you and add this bit there and all that kind of stuff. So it must have been a very tough time to code back then. She also worked with the SAGE system at Lincoln Labs and wrote software for the XD1, the first AN/FSQ7 computer, whose job was to search for unfriendly aircraft and a very early form of homeland security in the US. Back then the computers they used were huge, filling up one room or multiple rooms, absolutely ginormous, and those are the size of computers used back then, and had very little processing power. Those computers had less processing power than a 5-year-old phone does right now. So there was a lot of size but not that much wow back then. And actually, funnily enough, there was the chips used to send Apollo to the moon had less power than a normal calculator that it has now. So you can see the leap in technology we've had from then to now is absolutely gigantic, and it makes it all the more amazing. I think if you used a calculator to try and go back to the moon, it would fail spectacularly. So that's the end of the video. As you can see by this video, if you didn't know already, Margaret Hamilton was probably one of the most pioneering people in the whole industry of computer science and software engineering, and from the 1960s onwards completely changed how the game looks for software. And I think it's really amazing. If you didn't already know who she was already, you definitely do now, and how much of an important role she played in the computer science industry. So if you like the video, leave a like and subscribe. I'll leave a link to Instagram and Twitter down below, where I post daily computer science, tech, programming kind of things. So if you like that kind of stuff, definitely look in the description below. And until later, bye.